Welcome everybody. My name is Becky Labret, and I'm so excited that some of you guys showed up, and then some of you guys, I know that because of the pandemic, there have been some issues with people coming in contact with maybe somebody who had COVID or was sick. So this is just the world that we're living in right now. It's a pandemic world. So we just have to adjust and reassess and just figure out how to be flexible. So thank you guys so much. I'm super excited to see these group presentations. And there's a couple of the class members that showed up in person. Thank you, thank you. Extra kudos to you guys for making it out here. And we are supposed to be having this live stream. I checked, and there might be a little bit of a delay for the stream, or the stream might not work. Who knows? This is like totally an experiment for me too. So if it doesn't stream right now, I have this recorded. So I'm going to be able to capture the recording, and then I'll be able to fix the video, which would be really nice. And then I'll upload it later. So without further ado, I'm going to bring it to the first presentation. Opalus, would you like to introduce yourself? Maybe come off of turn your video on, and maybe share your screen as well, so that we can introduce your presentation.
Hi.
Hi. You on the big screen here, so the people who are present can see you.
Okay.
And do you want to kick off by talking about your group, who was in your group? And well, first of all, I think maybe before we go into your presentation, one of the big purposes of the group pulling together these presentations, which was really, really wonderful, was this came out of the midterms that you guys all pulled together, which was really super fascinating. The midterms that we pulled together included a lot of economic data around the real estate market and the industry, and it included just a lot of information that we collected from the National Association of Realtors, including the California Association of Realtors. And you guys did a phenomenal job of pulling all of that data together and presenting it in the midterm. And I'm so incredibly impressed. And some of you guys also aligned a lot of your presentations too, which I thought was really fascinating. So one of the things that was a very important part of this course was pulling together a community group project. And what does community look like in the age of the pandemic right now? Well, I'm sitting here in person with a couple of the class members. A few of you guys are on your computers right now taking in this information, and we may or may not have this streamed on YouTube. Definitely it's going to be recorded and posted later, but community is actually all of us right now. It's people who are in real life and connecting with one another together. It's us connecting with each other online, and it's also sharing that information with other people that are outside of the community and hopefully in other parts of the world too, so we can get that information to them. So community has changed and evolved a lot in the last year or so. So that's really what our group is trying to demonstrate here. And with that, we're seeing a lot of different themes in the midterms that you guys pulled together. So we have the group broken down into three main groups with topics. The first group will be presenting on the pandemic market analysis, which is super fascinating. And then they're gonna go through some shifts that occurred in the market, and also present some other things that have occurred aside from like how this is a seller's market, a buyer's market, and how this might be different than other times in pandemic times. And then the second group is presenting on the international versus the local markets. And that is also really fascinating, something that came up in the midterms as well, where students were relating our market analytics to international marketplaces like places in Korea or any other place in the world, and how seasonality might be different. So that was also super fascinating as well. And then the final piece is group 3 is talking about the recession versus the Great Resignation. And there were shifts that occurred in the recession time in 2008. And there's also a great shift that's happening right now, or is going to happen, in what we call now is the Great Resignation. So with that, I will hand it over to our first team lead, Opalus, to take it over and to share your screen for the pandemic market analysis. And maybe you want to start by introducing your team.
Okay. Our team members are Nathawat and Jaeho. You guys are there?
Hi.
Hi, Jaeho.
Hi, everybody.
Okay. And can you guys share your screen?
I'll share.
Okay. Because mine is never.
I'll share the screen first.
Okay.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah.
We can see your screen. Can you? Oh, perfect. You expanded it. Excellent.
All right. All right, let's start right now. I'll be the first one who's talking right now. So our group, we have Opalus, Jaeho, and me, Nathawat. And today our group will be talking about the real estate analysis during the pandemic in California. So first of all, I would like to talk about the time period of a shift in California real estate history. So the main event that that's showing right now is first is subprime mortgage crisis that happened during in 2007 to 2010. That's a huge crisis that make the sales goes up and drop down dramatically during that time, as well as today is a COVID pandemic, which is really something fascinating during this period, that you can see that the sales goes up as well and it's dropped a lot as well. And let's see how this happened. So how's the pandemic different from the subprime crisis in California? This two graph. This first one is showed about the price, and this one is unsold inventory index. So during the subprime crisis, the price dropped dramatically during this time because, but the unsold inventory is spiked up to 16 months. So it's really a lot during this time. But whereas during the pandemic, the house price gone up around 32% compared to the subprime crisis. It dropped a lot, but this time it goes up dramatically, and the unsold inventory during the pandemic is dropped down low enough to the 2 months in inventory. So these are the different. So the next one is but how the market shift occurred during the subprime crisis. So first I'm talking about the housing bubble happens, and then it affects the whole market, the whole global market. So it started with housing market. It happened with excess housing inventory, and then the house price decline, and then inability to refinance the mortgage, and then people lost their home, and that affect to the whole economy. Everyone lose their home, and the business have to shut down during this period. This is very nightmare. Yeah, it affects to the financial market and affect the government as well. But how about the pandemic? The economic shift during pandemic is like demand supply of home for sale has fallen to historically low levels. Yeah, and for the demand side, it's actually increased a lot because people just like want to spend more time at home, and yeah, just want to stay at home and work from home, work at home as an office. Yeah, so they're looking for the home to buy during this time. And other factor is like the low interest rate. It happened, and that stimulate the housing demand as well. However, at the same time, the homeowner could be reluctant to list their home for sale during the pandemic, which could have reduced the for sale supply. Yeah. And next, I'll be talking about the seasonal period. So basically, like in the real estate, seasonal period is a cycle of buying and selling property that repeats each and every year. And it has been affected by the cycle of this factor like weather, holiday, and school years, something like that. As you can see, like during January to March, like it's still in the winter time. No one wants to like actually buy the house during this time. And then usually the sales usually goes up like after that and during the summer, and then it drop again during the school is open, right? Because the lots of family just doesn't want to move their house and just focus on the kids, something that make the sales drop a lot, right? But however, during the pandemic, I just observed something unusual, because like during the peak time, the outbreak pandemic, the sales, when the school is still closed, the sales increase. Usually during this August to November, the sales should be like drop. But during this time, the sales still going up because like I think like people are just looking for the house, and they have more time to spend looking for the house and buy the house, and that's caused the sale increase though. All right. Sorry. And however, for the seasonal cycle, it can be predictable, and it's short term, it's manageable, but unlike the economic shift that seem unpredictable and happened for several years. Next, I will talk about is there a buyer's market, seller's market, or balanced market during pandemic? So if we talk about the buyer's market, is probably more, the inventory should be more than 7 months. Seller market is like less than 5 months of inventory. And balanced market is from 5 to 7 months of the inventory. So basically balanced market occurs during the transition between the market. All right, and during the pandemic, I can say that it's absolutely the seller's market. Right now, it's probably just only 2 months of the unsold inventory. Yeah. All right. Next, Jaeho going to be take over for my presentation.
Yeah, I follow to present it. It's clear unsold inventory is under 2 months right now, and it's seller's market. But when we check the inventory, historical inventory since 1990, since 1998, it's almost seller's market, except the period of a housing bubble. And at the time, we know a lot of people is selling the house, and then it picked the inventory. But today is more on the seller's market. And during the pandemic, when we closely look, pandemic made inventory even lower. December 20 is lowest inventory since 1990. So how seller take advantage of this market. Home stays in the list very short with low inventory, and home price often higher than the list price. And home sales process is very quick during this time. So because of seller's market. So, and more people is holding the house instead of selling, and people is expect higher price in the future in this market. So inventory is getting low. This graph is from the realtor, and this is the number of lists in the California, in the right graph, in the left graph, and right graph is the list in Southern California, and the shape of the graph is almost same, and we see the listing, the number of listing is very low in the early of 2021. So after pandemic, the inventory is very low, and the number of lists is very low. It's getting harder to find the affordable house nowadays, and more homeowners are choosing to hold instead of selling. All factors contributing to low inventory have drive up home price up. We will see it later also. After the housing bubble 2008, the home builders also is getting declined. Pandemic has exacerbated the issue too. Okay, so home officially on the market total 25,000, and around 500 if you are to buy in a month, or 2% decline. A year earlier, it was around 4,000, or 30% lower, 13% lower, but it's now nowhere near the pandemic era's biggest 1 year drop of 44% in August 2020. Okay, let's see the next slide. Okay, let's see the number of agent, rise and fall of agent in California market during pandemic. At first, we need to see the two concept of the down leg and leg. The two leg period show up in every economic shift, which are the down leg and leg. Based on the graph in the right side, the down leg occurs because the number of agents doesn't decline until the number of transactions has already been dropped for some time. The low point of the income opportunity then occurs when the most agents are chasing the least amount of income. The omelette works in reverse when the transactions increase. The high income opportunity point occur on the way up when the fierce agent are chasing the most amount of income. Next slide. This is the graph, the number of agent and also broker in California since 2020. Usually the number of agents is around around 1.5 times higher than brokers number. And in the inflate market, usually agent number is more increased than brokers. And the difference of agent and broker, agent usually work for customers one-on-one with client and connect buyer and seller to trade and real trade. Brokers works for managing brokerage, have technical aspect of sales. So we see the number of agent is peaked before the housing market, and also nowadays it's going to higher, even though pandemic is come. So when number of agent is increased, it's going to inflate market. So next slide. This is from the California Department of Real Estate, the government site, the real number of agent and brokers. So when we compare the 12 months ago, 2 years ago, agent number is almost same, but it stayed with the high number. Okay, so inventory is very low and hard to find housing, but how number of agents is rising. More real agents than actual housing for sales nowadays. And during the sellers market, so more sellers were going to assisted by real estate agent. So even though pandemic limit the in-person interaction, the agent is still rising. Next slide. So this graph is the mortgage rate, US mortgage rate, and we see the mortgage rate, interest rate is getting low. And during the pandemic, the government made it even lower. So with the very low interest rate, it's good time for the buyer, but not only to low interest increase demand, they also limit supply because it makes it easier to home buyer to keep their current home and still be able to afford another rather than selling. As low interest rate have made home ownership more affordable, also low mortgage rate makes affordable to buyer. Okay, Opalus will follow to present from the next slide.
Okay, now I'm gonna talk about affordability index. So California Q3 affordability index is 24%, and US median affordability index is 50%, and for 24% is near the lowest level since 2007. And the US is 50%, which means pandemic recovery puts harder on California state, because California state is very expensive area and also pandemic is happening everywhere. And also the 24% is from 27% in the first quarter, like down, decreasing 3%. So the affordability index is keep down. Next slide. Okay, now I'm gonna talk about overlaying data. Monthly rate and sales and a median price in sales. So if you look at the graph, after the outbreak of the pandemic, housing demand fell as buyers lost their jobs and low income in the middle of viral outbreak. And after more people received the first dose of vaccine during May 2020, there was a higher demand in buying property and due to lower interest rate. And even if prices keep rising, the sales are keep balanced because the people are still wanted to buy their own homes because of they need their own safe place for work. And yes, okay, next slide. This is the median price and unsold inventory index. During the pandemic, the prices still keep going up due to high demand and lack of housing supply. This makes unsold inventory index drop very low to around 2 months. Next. This is the affordability index and price. Before pandemic, housing price was low compared to nowadays, so that affordability index was higher. But after pandemic, it switched their position because of high demand and shortage of supply. Price keep higher and affordability keep lower. Okay, so this is some experts say the prediction. California is still seller's market on homes. Prices have reached record highs across all the regions due to tight supply. Secondary effect of the coronavirus outbreak is that it has cramped supply chains around the world and slowed down construction. Realtors will probably continue to utilize 3D virtual tours, and the supply-demand imbalance continues to hit the market, with many buyers offering sales bids that are higher than the asking price. The rising tide of millennials buyers and the lack of existing housing inventory will continue to keep demand strong. Okay, next slide. And also experts believe, experts believe the largest single source of available housing inventory will be existing homeowners buying and moving to different home. Yeah, the 39.7% of them says that, and 22.5% of them says new construction will be source of available housing inventory. Okay. Thank you for your attention.
That's pretty much it for our group.
Okay, excellent job. Does anyone from the crowd have any questions? Well, let me show you our crowd here. So you can see your classmates.
Hi.
Do you guys have any questions? If not, I have questions. I don't want to put you on the spot.
Here, you can.
I'll start. Okay. Okay. So I do have a couple questions, and great job on presenting the findings using the information that you guys had too from the class slides, including bringing in a lot of additional data too. So that was really great. I loved the overlay of data that you guys did. So great job on that. One thing that I had here, one of my questions was the source for the pandemic buying SoCal graph. Where did you guys get that data? I'm just curious. I don't think I saw that in the source section. And Jaeho, I think you presented on that. Did that come from, oh, you're on mute. Oh, Jaeho, you're on mute.
I think that came from the realtor.com.
Realtor.com?
Yeah.
Okay, I saw a source in there, Fred. So I wasn't sure if it was Fred or there was something that said St. Louis too. So I just wanted to clarify where that source came from. If not, I can look at the slides when you guys add those.
Yeah.
To Populi. Okay. Let's see. So another thing too, I had a question about Opalus. You had done the prediction from various experts.
Mm-hmm.
That slide. I didn't notice any sources on that as well. So where did those come from? Those predictions, and those were really interesting.
The predictions.
Do you want to pull them up on the screen again? If you have them handy. I think it may have been the second to last slide.
Do you want me to share it?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
It's okay.
Those are from like noradarealestate.com reports.
The NAR.com reports. You said NAR.com?
NORA.DA, Norada.
Okay.
Realestate.com.
Okay. And are they all from that source?
Some is from
okay.
Some is from Cars Report.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Not a problem. I'm just curious where some of that came from, because I didn't notice it in the slide. And it's always nice when you pull a presentation together. If you're an audience member, if you're somebody like me who loves digging into data, I love to see what kind of information like might be behind the data, because I think there's something important for us to understand too, is that there's a lot of information out there, and we have to definitely connect the information that, or the sound bites or whatever we have, to whoever is saying that, because it helps us understand whether or not the information is actually accurate. It helps us make assessments pretty quickly. So definitely sources are super important, especially when you make things like predictions. But that was a really great collection of predictions there. So one suggestion, if you guys haven't submitted that yet, maybe just do a comb through and make sure that the sources are included in there, so that whoever the viewer is can make sure that they can connect those statements to whoever the source is.
Okay, I will.
Thank you. Okay, thank you guys so much. Thank you. Did anybody in the crowd have any questions before we take a little mini break?
I really like your presentation.
Very detailed.
Thank you.
Oh, they learned a lot from it. Okay, great. Thank you so much. Okay, I'm going to take a little pause from the screen. We'll do about a 5-minute break, and then the second group will be up, and that's the Chaya, Songyi, and Jin are going to do the international versus the local market analysis. So we'll be back in a couple minutes.